Most of us are used to following the logic that we should do more of what we know gives us pleasure if we want more pleasure. And that's solid, it's sound. But there's also another way to go, and that is to consider the things that you are averse to, sensitive to, reject, and get curious about whether or not there might be something hiding out underneath that aversion that actually holds the key to greater turn on and more robust pleasure for you. I'm Darshana Avila. I am your guide to all things erotic wholeness, intimacy, embodiment, sexuality, relationships, trauma healing. We're here for it. Make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss out on any of the juicy tidbits. And let's get back to talking about aversion, because it really is a rich and fascinating rabbit hole to go down if you so desire. So let's start there. Consent is everything. You do not have to do anything that I'm about to say. You never have to go down this rabbit hole if you don't want to. And you might have some curiosity about maybe a part of your body that you are averse to having stimulated, or a part of another person's body that you just don't like going near. That's one consideration. Another way to get curious about like the things that you're averse to or that you resist or reject would be particular scenarios, erotic expressions, ways of being intimate and being sexual that kind of give you like the, ooh, I don't know. Again, consent. If you are excited to maybe get curious about why is it that I have this resistance? Why is it that I am rejecting something? Then what I'm offering here is for you. If it's not for you, that's okay too. I'm overemphasizing this, right? Because really, it matters, our sense of agency. For the ones who are still with me, for the ones who want to get curious and go down this rabbit hole, there's a few different things to consider. So when it comes to something like not wanting a particular part of your body stimulated, for instance, breasts and nipples, for the longest time, I personally thought that my breasts had no sensation. And it took some experimentation, some focused exploration for me to realize that actually, my breasts are not especially sensitive or responsive to touch until my whole self is more aroused and more turned on. So, for instance, if a lover goes right for my nipples when we've just been like kissing and making out for a few minutes, as opposed to when we're 20, 30 minutes, an hour, or whatever into it, and my whole body and my whole system is like really juiced up and open, I'm going to have a very, very different response to the touch that I'm receiving. People who, for instance, find that direct clitoral stimulation is oversensitizing, it's overstimulating, a better word there, because they are hypersensitive, that might change depending upon where they are in the arc of their arousal. So if we're talking about something like this, a part of the body that really kind of goes oof in response to touch, some of the time, much of the time, you might, if you explore with your pacing, really slowing down the progression, moving toward it bit by bit by bit, beginning with more peripheral touch and then going closer to the area that has that heightened sensitivity, letting arousal build in other ways, you might find that that part of your body, again, I'll use my nipples as an example here, that that part of your body actually does have a lot of sensation and can be the source of pleasure if you approach in a way that truly works for you. So that's one potential way that aversion can turn into a source of pleasure if you're curious about it. The other place where I want to talk about this has to do more with, for instance, role playing particular dynamics or having different styles or qualities of sex. Some of us are really like, there's right ways, there's wrong ways, and those wrong ways are a no-go zone. And we are wired. It's very, very much the nature of what humans do. We are wired to kind of go like this to things that actually have a lot of charge for us. And a way that you can expand the scope of what your erotic expression can include and what authentic, satisfying sex can be like for you, one possible way is to look at dynamics that you really are just like, hell no to, things that actually can kind of seem like a turnoff. So, for instance, As a woman, as a feminist, let's say the idea of the power over kind of dominator energy is really just a turnoff to you. And you're like, ugh, I don't want that. I don't want to be bossed around. I don't want to be told what to do. Well, you might find that if you are consensually creating a dynamic with somebody you trust where they are bossing you around, you might get to find a sense of empowerment in that, or you might get to find a surrender inside of that that opens you up and softens you to a part of yourself that really actually does want to be told what to do. But under the circumstances of day in and day out life, you know that that's not a safe thing or that's not an aligned thing for you. So, again, the premise here is that if there is something we are strongly having an averse reaction to, when we consensually and intentionally create experiences and dynamics to explore that inside of, it has the potential to open up some really juicy and enlivening possibility in terms of our eroticism. It also can be a really big intimacy builder. So whatever the approach, if we're talking about like part of the body and something physical that you're averse to, or if we're talking about a particular sexual dynamic or erotic expression, who you choose to go down those rabbit holes with, who you choose to open up and explore with, if there is trust and open communication, and there is the ease of knowing that you can say stop at any point in time, that you can give the feedback that you need, that you can adjust the experience, there are few things that foster a deeper sense of intimacy than actually collaborating together to kind of problem solve. And I'm putting problem solve in quotes because it's never a problem, actually, if you don't want a certain part of your body touched or you don't want to have a certain kind of sex. That is not inherently problematic. However, if you are choosing to kind of put your resources together and be in that collaborative spirit, it is kind of like problem solving. And when we go in together on something and create a positive outcome, it really does have a beautiful way of adding more depth and dimensionality to our intimacy. So, some things for you to think about, a lot of ways that these could be applied. If this is something that you have questions about or want to go into a deeper, more personalized experience, reach out to me. I work with a lot of my clients about exploring where aversion might turn into a tremendous source of pleasure and power. And if you want that for yourself, I want that for you too. I'll see you next time. Bye.